Welcome back into the vault. I'm Bobby Trossett, joined by my co-host Sarah Ellison. As always, again, this is a dark week traditionally. We've been mentioning this a couple times over the last couple weeks. It's July 4th. Happy 4th to you and yours. And we're literally weeks away from the start of training camp. So we're committed to year-round content. This is not a traditional morning vault format. As promised, we wanted to bring in our next special guest. It's Ravens long snapper Nick Moore. And Sarah, we were both doing our research on Nick, and obviously he's been in Baltimore for the last couple of years. But shoot, you put together your questions and everything, and this guy's an interesting dude. We got a lot to get to with him.
Nick Moore is like this rabbit hole. I talk about YouTube or Twitter being a rabbit hole. I'm like, I need to know our long snapper better because I just need to know this fascinating life story.
Yeah. Well, in order to do that, let's bring him in. Let's go right to the source. Ravens long snapper Nick Moore joins us inside the vault. Thanks for carving out some time. I know this is sort of the time of year where you guys get R&R and vacation, so it's appreciated. Is this your office that you're joining us from right now?
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for having me. This is not my office. I am at the facility here. I'm in our equipment manager's office. He's on vacation, so I'm borrowing it for now.
I was going to say, that room looks too familiar to me.
Yeah,
that looks like a Ravens office right there with the phones, the computers, all of it.
Yeah, Kaniko Hines, I'm borrowing his office. He's not in today, so I figured I'd slip in here and do the interview in here.
I love it. Well, we appreciate it. And, like I said, we're just, a few weeks from the start of camp. So we're looking forward to getting your perspective on this season. We know you re-signed in March. We're going to get to all of that and more. But, right off the top, dude, I mean, your story to get to the Ravens is a podcast in itself, right? I mean, from going undrafted out of Georgia to signing with the Saints to doing a brief stint with the XFL before it folded during the pandemic year. I mean, there's so much to get to. The fact that you were recruited to Georgia as a linebacker and you played a little bit of fullback. I mean, catch us up to speed on your football journey pre-Baltimore.
Yeah, so I've definitely done a lot of things. I signed to Georgia, or I walked on to Georgia summer of 2015 as a linebacker. Roquan and I actually got to school together same year. I quickly realized I wasn't Roquan Smith, so I moved to fullback, and basically did special teams and scout team for the first 2 seasons, and then my third year I kind of played a little bit at long snapper, but again only like 4 games. And then in 2018 was my senior year. I played the whole season at long snapper, full time. So that's where I kind of really, got pretty good at the long snapping gig. And then was fortunate, did the Reese Senior Bowl in 2019, and then I signed as undrafted free agent to the Saints. Was there through the first 2 preseason games in 2019. Got cut right after that, and then I basically I had a couple workouts and stuff for like a month, going into the first couple of weeks of the regular season in 2019. And then started working as a financial accountant at this company in Atlanta. And then signed to the XFL in December of 2019. Played through that till COVID happened in 2020 in March. Shut down the league, basically shut down the world. So they were on the league kind of canceled itself, and then signed to Baltimore in March of 2020. I've been here ever since.
I've got so many questions just based off of that. Okay, let's start with this. How do you go from I can kind of see like a Patrick Ricard linebacker going to defense, going to fullback. You got this big body, you can do that. How does the conversation begin where somebody or you says, let's transition from fullback to long snapper? How does that go down?
So my dad was a high school coach. He kind of taught me how to do long snapping when I was growing up. So I've kind of done it in high school, and then my older brother did it back in high school. So I kind of had a little bit of a background and a little bit of familiarity with it. But being a walk-on at Georgia, I'm just looking to get on the field, any way I can. So in 2015, when Coach Rick was still at Georgia, he just kind of was like, hey, can anybody long snap, at the end of practice one day? And then I just was kind of like, yeah, I can do a little bit of it. So I snapped a little bit like in fall camp my freshman year, and then we had the regime change at the end of the 2015 season with Kirby Smart coming in. And similar thing, he he kind of knew I was a long snapper because some of the coaches were already on staff, and he was like, me and this other kid, we both played fullback. We were kind of the, last resort long snapper, if you will, if the regular guy goes down, and then just working on it, basically for on and off for 4 years in college, 3 years in college. I got decently good at it. And then my senior year, Coach Smart, the guy in front of me had graduated, and Coach Smart was kind of like, hey, do you want to do fullback or do you want to play long snapper? And basically, we kind of stopped really running a fullback under Coach Chaney. We did a lot of two-back stuff, but nothing that really required a fullback. So I was like, Coach, we don't. It's not. It's we don't play enough for me to go through practice at fullback. So I ultimately moved to long snapper full time, and it worked out pretty good. Here we are, 5 years later, still long snapping. So
No kidding. And of course, you were on the snap of the 66-yarder, which we'll get to in a little bit. I mean, you got your hands in history there, which is pretty freaking awesome. But when did the baseball dream die? And we talked about this a couple years ago, but just to refresh folks, what point did that kind of get thrown away?
Yeah, fill me in. I wasn't in on this conversation. I don't know
Okay.
where baseball fits in here.
Yeah, so baseball was the dream as a kid. I always wanted to play in the big leagues. I was committed to Kennesaw State, which is a baseball school outside of Atlanta, out of high school, and then I got drafted by the Boston Red Sox in 2011 in the 30th round, and ultimately decided that I was going to pursue my professional baseball career instead of go to college. And I played there from 2011 to April of 2015, and I got cut right at the end of spring training in 2015. And then I ultimately decided at that point that my baseball career had run its course. I was mentally, physically, emotionally fatigued and burnt out from the game. So rather than trying to continue my career there, I just ultimately decided that day that I was no longer going to pursue baseball in any way, shape, or form. And it wasn't 2 weeks later I decided to walk on at Georgia. So it happened fast, but it kind of in 2015 everything kind of changed.
You're kind of reminding me a little bit of Nick Boyle, right? He just tried out for the Steelers. Was it for a long snapper?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. So Nick is actually a really good. He's a really talented long snapper. He had been the position player backup for basically the whole time he was in Baltimore. And he was. I was telling him, if you don't want to play tight end anymore, dude, which I think he ultimately decided tight end. He didn't no longer wanted to try that. But I just was like, hey man, if you get a chance to play long snapper, you're good enough to do it at this level. We snapped together this offseason. And then he got the opportunity to go to Pittsburgh, did really well in minicamp. Unfortunately, didn't get signed. But, I think if some team gives him an opportunity, I think they can get a really good long snapper and football player out of Nick Boyle. So hopefully I'm rooting
you're the
for him.
person behind him doing that then. I did not know that. You're like the little birdie in his ear?
I definitely talked him between me and his wife. I definitely talked him into it this year. There had been guys, Morgan Cox worked with Nick for they were together for 6 years, and then Sam Koch obviously helped Nick along the way as well. So I definitely take the credit for forcing him to do the tryout, but the long snapping he learned well before me. I was just here to catch some balls for him and help him get ready for minicamp.
So cool.
You know the deal of being a long snapper, right? Like if you're doing your job, you're not going to be mentioned for the most part, right? And it takes a humble person, as you can tell here, Sarah. We have a humble guy on our hands here, but I got to wonder mechanically, since it's not talked about, since most fans know the kicker, right? They don't necessarily know the long snapper. They don't necessarily know the placeholder. What does it take to be a good long snapper?
It takes, I think the biggest thing is you got to have like the right mentality. Long snapping is a very unique position in the sense that we don't play, but probably like 7, 8 plays a game if I had to guess on average. And there's a lot of downtime, a lot of high pressure situations. So definitely, it's not physically hard by any means, but mentally, it's definitely one of the more challenging positions just because, like you said, most people only know the kicker until we make a mistake, and then we are on every ESPN Sports Center, not top 10 you could imagine. So definitely mentality goes into it a lot. But then technique wise, I could dive into all kinds of stuff, but ultimately you got to be able to deliver a strike, if you will, consistently all the time, regardless of season, weather, temperature outside, situation in the game, pressure, whatever. You got to be able to perform 100% accuracy all the time. So it's definitely, like I said, it's not the most physically demanding position, but it is very challenging mentally. So
Well, and then on top of like having to deliver that strike, were you a pitcher in baseball?
I was a
Is
third
that
baseman,
Oh,
third and
that's my
first
son.
base.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's my
Oh
son.
yeah.
He's
yeah,
third
Oh, that
baseman.
makes
Yeah.
sense, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But after you do that, like you have to deal with like the Calais Campbells of the world and
Yeah.
make sure they're not getting up. And so it's like you have to be like this big body that can block, but also deliver that strike. It takes, I think, a unique talent to do both those things.
Yes, I agree. We end up blocking guys that are rather large, and usually they're bigger, stronger, and faster than we are. Just because the nature of our job isn't, you don't have to be the most athletic guy on the team, and usually a lot of us are guys who played other positions that kind of did what I did, where they found their niche. If they wanted to get on the field, this is probably their best avenue. Like I was really talented football player, but I wasn't quite fast enough to play defense, and I wasn't quite big enough or strong enough to be like a tight end or have the right mentality to play a fullback position. So moving to long snapper was the right thing for me, and ultimately put me where I'm at right now. But no, I definitely agree. It's a lot. It's pretty challenging, during the games when they rush and do that stuff. It definitely makes it a little bit difficult. So it is what it is.
So real quick,
One thing I've heard from Justin. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead, Bobby.
Well, I was going to go to a different topic. You follow up with Nick. Go ahead.
Well, okay. So just one last thing on it. So you would like I've been there when you were talking about baseball. When you're mentally done, you're just done, and sometimes you just
Mhm.
can't even explain it. You're just done. With football, with you moving around so much from linebacker to fullback to long snapper, what is keeping the hunger and the drive alive for football where it just kind of died for baseball?
I think the biggest thing with baseball was like I I played a lot of baseball, and I was only in the minors for 4.5 years. Um, but as far as like we're playing every day, whether it's spring training, extended spring training, you're in season in the minors. I mean, you're playing upwards of 150 to 160 games a year. And I was fortunate enough to be around guys like Mookie Betts was my roommate, and I always say this because at the time, him and I were super close in baseball. We got drafted together at high school. Um, I was around a guy like that who obviously is one of the best baseball players today. And being around a guy like him every day, you kind of realize like, hey man, I'm pretty good at baseball, but this guy's just on a different level. And by the end of it, I was just like, man, I could probably dabble around in the minors for 10 years if I wanted to, just going back and forth between different organizations, never really getting a chance to get to the big leagues. And so instead of doing that, I just felt like I had more to offer. So I decided to go different, to cut baseball out altogether. Um, but with football, I never really played enough in college to like really think like, okay, maybe I cannot do this. And then when I moved to long snapper, I was like, man, I'm pretty good at this comparative to everybody else I'm watching and the guys that I played with in college. Um, and then I played my senior year and I played well. And then I think going to the Saints and, not performing quite as well as I would have hoped in the preseason really kind of pushed me over the edge to the fact that, like, I can do this at this level. I just need a guy or someone to help kind of hone in on my skills a little bit and help kind of mold me into mold me into an NFL long snapper. And I was fortunate; I found that in Morgan Cox here in Baltimore. That he is the guy that I give the most credit to for really working with me and really helping me learn the position, learn the ins and outs of the actual job and how to perform successfully, all the time. And ultimately made me the long snapper that I am today. And I still work with Morg all the time. So very thankful for that. But I think, I never counted myself out at long snapping. Baseball, I definitely counted myself out, after 5 years of striking out and not doing well, not having a very good batting average. You learn quickly that it's time to hang it up.
Tell you what, too, like having grown up in a town that has minor league baseball, the Tri-City Valley Cats up in Troy, it's the Astros
Played
farm
there
system.
plenty of times.
Yeah,
Plenty of times.
yeah, Joe Bruno Stadium,
Yep.
kind of a cool little spot there on the Hudson River. I grew up on the other side of town in Albany, in the suburbs of Albany. But yeah, having covered some baseball, called some minor league baseball, that's a tough life, dude. Kind of what you're getting at, right? Like you're living out of a suitcase. Like I know you have a family, you always wanted a family. And so that can be hard. I mean, you're rotating around, you're on call. I mean, you're flipping from double A to triple A. I mean, you name it, maybe up and down from the big leagues like some people are here in Baltimore. I mean, there's been a ton of call ups recently. So anyway, I could see why maybe the stability, consistency of something that's a little bit more regular would be appealing to you as a family guy. But something I was thinking about a minute ago, and you just mentioned Morgan, and it made me think about it again, is the system that Justin's referenced so many times throughout his career. And we know he's such a fine-tuned, detail-oriented guy. But whenever somebody asks him about his greatness, he says it's the system. I'm a product of the system. I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm sure this is like been drilled into you over the last couple of years. So what is the system, and how do you see your role best fit in Justin's system?
Well, Justin always says he's a system kicker. He's being modest. He's the best kicker in the NFL. The system helps him be successful, but I don't think he would do just fine if he didn't have the system, as he calls it. But we kind of have a standard as what we do. Like when there's a lot of arbitrary stuff when it comes to my job as far as how you rate a successful snap, hold, and kick. Obviously, the kick is black or white. You either make the kick or you miss the kick. But then when you look at the snap, you could be like, oh, it was close. Didn't have to turn the laces a whole lot. So there's a lot of gray area in the snap and the hold. And for us, we kind of eliminate that gray area. And we say, in order to have a successful rep, it's got to be perfect snap right over the spot, 12 o'clock laces or laces pointed to the uprights. Holder's got to catch it. He's got to put the ball down in a certain amount of time. The ball has to be on the spot that Justin picks. And the holder has to make sure the ball has got the right lean and tilt forward, and the laces have to be pointed to the uprights. And Tucker has to have put his plant foot down and obviously make the kick. And for us, I think that is why there's been a lot of success over the last decade or so between Sam Koch and Morgan Cox and even as far back as guys before Tuck with Stover and Billy Cundiff and Matt Catula before Morgan. I think the standard has always been the same here. There's not a lot of gray area, and it makes it challenging at times. But I think we know that is the reason that we've had so much success here in Baltimore with our special teams unit is because of that. We have such a high standard for every rep. There is no, oh, that was close enough. It's either it was perfect or it was not good. And we basically work to perfection. even when we're going at each other's throats, I think we all know deep down that this is what separates us from the rest of the league, if you will, and it kind of puts us ahead of everyone and gives coach and our teammates the confidence in us that, hey, when the game's on the line in Jacksonville, for instance, we didn't make the 67-yarder, but we're the only team that's trying that kick, and I think a lot of that is a testament to Justin being as good as he is, but also the system helps and it works towards that, and that's I think why Coach Harbaugh has so much confidence in us going out, making game-winning field goals in the rain, NFL record distances, whatever the situation may call for. They can call on us, and we're going to execute it to perfection.
What's the longest in practice? We know the 66-yarder was the best in league history. What is the best in practice that the system got down? What's the longest you guys have been successful from?
I've seen – with a snap, hold, and kick, I've seen I want to say we hit a 75-yarder in Denver in 2021 in pregame warm-ups. But I've seen further. I mean, Justin on the sticks and stuff. Justin, he kicks the ball a long way. So I know every day we kick a 70-yard field goal. So I can tell you that. Well, most every day. Depends on the weather and all that stuff. But there's certain kicks you don't try if the weather's bad or if it's cold outside. But perfect weather conditions, 75 and sunny, slight breeze, we're kicking minimum 70-yard field goal every day.
Is that on air or is that against the defensive line?
It's usually on air when it's just us working. The furthest I've ever seen him attempt and make successfully with a full operation and a full team is 70 yards. That was That was like during a practice rep, if you will. I've seen we've kicked a 70-yarder.
All right, so take us into the moment. I know you've talked about this before. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. I know where you're leading into here. I think he's.
It looks like Bobby's freezing up there.
Yeah. I think he's moving towards the game in Detroit 2 years ago.
All right, let's do it. Let's move into the game in Detroit. What's going on in your mind? Did you expect John Harbaugh to call on you? What's going through your mind? Like, take us through that whole historic moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of emotions in that situation for me. It was my fourth NFL game, playing alongside Sam Koch, who's in his 400th probably, and then Justin, who is in his, he's been playing for 10 years at this point.
This is your fourth game. Fourth is
this is my fourth game ever in the NFL. So,
oh my gosh, okay,
a lot of emotions going on. For me, Justin, I think one of the things that Justin does really, really well, and I is kind of that helps him be successful in these late game situations is if no matter what the score is when the fourth quarter starts. And as corny as it is, because Justin, he's a funny guy. Every game when the fourth quarter starts, he looks at us and he's like, "All right, men, prepare for glory." Like we could, be up. Oh yeah, I mean we did it last year against Miami, and we ultimately we ended up losing to Miami, but we're winning 35-7 at the time, I think, or 28-7, whatever it was. And he says it. And then sure enough, we kick a go-ahead field goal with like 40 seconds left in the game, or it was later in the fourth quarter. I can't remember exactly how long it was. So he does a really good job of that, of making sure that we're always staying locked in, because the NFL is a crazy game. And we know if you've watched any football in the last couple of years, 9 out of 10 times the game comes down to a field goal. So Tuck does a really good job for that. So we're in Detroit. We hadn't played our best game from a special team standpoint. We missed the field goal early in the game. And Tuck does this thing, hey, prepare for glory in the beginning of the fourth quarter. And then we get into those situations like we thrive on, we want that. Like we want the ball at the end. Like Tuck, he wants to be the guy to get, have an opportunity to make a field goal to win the game for his team. And it's not because he wants to be the guy in the limelight, if you will. That's where we don't make our money there, but like that's where we thrive in those moments. So we want to be out there and we want to win the game for the team. So
Yeah.
that situation comes up, we get the ball, it's 4th and 20 or 4th and 25, and everyone in the stadium, you're getting counted out. Everyone on ESPN, they're like, game's over, whatever. We're sitting there like, Tuck's like, all right, boys, all we need, we're going to throw a ball here, going to get a first down, and we're going to kick a field goal. And sure enough, Lamar hits Sammy Watkins on the left side up the sideline and gets a first down. We get one more rep at it, throws it out of bounds. And then for me, it was my first NFL game-winning field goal. So
Okay.
I am focused on that only. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I got to have a great snap. This, if we make it, this is going to be like, this is it. We're going to win the game right here. It wasn't until we got out there, we broke the huddle, and I lined up over the ball that I realized that, hey, I'm standing in the logo. Like I'm in the logo. That never
Yeah.
happens. Normally Justin, he stands in the logo. So I'm looking down at my feet and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Like
I
we're
am
far
at
away.
yeah, I was like, I am at midfield. Oh God.
Yeah.
So but then I only focusing on Sam Koch and watching him and his body and watching his hand, and all I'm trying to do is deliver a good snap, making his job super easy, and then he'll make Justin's job super easy. And fortunately for all of us, everything I don't think could have gone any better. Everything was perfect, and Tuck hit it, and I knew, by the sound of it, I was like, we're going to have a chance here. And then I started celebrating, or the ball was like halfway. So I was pretty confident that we had a chance. Like I said, I've seen him make that kick before. So um, saw it hit off the crossbar. And then our equipment guy, or our ball shagger for the special team, on. And I saw him underneath the goal. He's like, oh, he like starts going crazy. So I assumed the bounce went our
Yeah.
way. Obviously it did bounce towards the net. So field goal was good, and there we are. The rest is history, I guess.
Nick, have you ever seen the call from it's a Detroit broadcast for Westwood One. We should have brought this on, Bobby. We should have had it ready for him. But the guys are hilarious because obviously it's a broadcast. It's pro Detroit. They're not trying to
Yeah,
hide that. And
yeah.
when they line up, he's like, "Shut up, Justin Tucker! Shut up! Get out of here! 66 yards! You're not making this!" And so then you watch their faces as like the ball goes up. You can't see what's going on in the field, but they see it doink and they start celebrating. They're like, he missed it. And then like they're like, oh no, it goes in. And like the guy like rips off his headphones, throws it down. It is
Oh
one of my
no.
favorite reaction videos to that. You guys just ruined the Lions' day, but they're used to it, so they can get
Yeah.
over it. Yeah.
I have not seen that clip. I'll have to find it. I've seen a lot of versions of that play. I've never seen that one.
I will, when we finish up, I will get the link and send it to you because it's a good one, and I think you can add it to the archives of good content to have come from that day in Detroit. But Nick, how would you describe the importance of Sam Koch remaining on board? They brought him in as a special teams consultant after he retired, and no, he's been super engaged and interactive with his family. That was one of his the big factors in his decision. But what's just the importance of having him around still?
Hold on. Sorry, say that again. I bugged out there for just a second.
Just the importance of having Sam around still, especially just for the camaraderie, for the experience, but especially for a young guy in Jordan's case too.
I think Sam Koch is an invaluable resource. Obviously, I have the most respect for Sam. Made my debut with him. There's not another guy on the planet I would have rather played with. And having a guy like Sam Koch who has kind of done it all. He's been in the league. He played 16 years in the league. Having a guy like him around for a young punter like Jordan, who's still raw. He's trying to figure out his technique. He's trying to figure out his routine in the NFL and just get comfortable being here in Baltimore. It's really a kind of a game changer. Having a guy like that, it makes it easier for not only Jordan, being able to bounce ideas and work with Sam Koch every day. It helps me out. Sam can see stuff that I do that I can't see, and he knows, he's very knowledgeable about all three of our jobs, including Tuck. So Sam, like I said, he's an invaluable resource, and he's going to be a phenomenal coach for however long he wants to do it. And I'm just glad he's still here and still able to be around every day at work and still help us be great, as he would say. So he's awesome to have.
Nick, I need you to give us something good on Justin Tucker here. It seems like whatever he tries, he's good at, right? So obviously the kicker thing, the opera thing. I think he even raps. I hear he's pretty good at golf. What is something he's just terrible at?
He thinks he's good at golf. Tuck, I'm gonna be honest with you. The only stuff I've done with him, he's been really good at. Kicking. He's working on his throwing, his quarterbacking abilities. He's working on that. But as far as golf goes, I mean, that's totally up for debate. I think I have him beat in the golfing department. That for sure on that one. So he's got a pretty good jump shot. There's not a whole lot, There's really not a whole lot that I've ever seen him be bad at. So.
Well, we just got off an interview with Jeff Drebeck, and he said, you are good at golf. He's like, make sure you ask him about his golf game. I'm
getting better. I have good days and bad days. I've been really trying to work on my game. I didn't pick it up till I was like 22, so right at the end of my baseball career. And, my wife and I just had our first kid, so it's been a little bit harder this year. I was fortunate. I played some really, really top-notch golf courses this year, so I've been trying to really get better at the game and learn the golf swing, if you will, and not just go out there and try to be an athlete. So I'm trying my best to get better every day. So we'll see.
Let me tell you, the on days and off days with the sport of golf is the game of golf, I guess, is insane. Jonathan Ogden did his annual foundation tournament a couple weeks back, and I was invited out to play and also broadcast. So I played 9 holes, and there was this big, and you're no stranger to performing in front of thousands, but I am a stranger to that. Okay. And so we show up to the 10th hole, and that was our first tee, and there are tents everywhere and people are watching. And so I get up there, and I'm the last one to go in the group. The 10th hole at Woodhome. Have you played?
Yeah. We normally play in that tournament, but we had it was during practice this year, so we were unable to make it. But yes, I know the short dog leg right. Yeah, there's 2 greens. Yeah.
What you don't know, because you probably never go that way, is that the parking lot's on the left-hand side. And if you snap hook it as horrifically as I did off the tee, there's cars over there. So I literally snap hooked it.
Car, Bobby?
It was one of the worst snap hooks of my life. I was nervous as all hell. And then the best part was, and everything was fine. And luckily, it was just a best ball. Yeah. So I'm on the air later that day, and I bring on a guest who was in my group, Ryan Ripken. And Ryan says, "Hey, did you hear what everybody's talking about?" I'm like, "No, what?" He goes, "You hit Ozzy's Range Rover." And he said it dead seriously. He said it dead seriously to me, but he was kidding.
Woo. Hey.
Oh, I was shaking in my boots, man.
Yeah, Ozzy would have made you sweat on that one.
Oh, I was sweating just listening to it. I was sweating after the ball made contact with the driver. I mean, you're not supposed to hit it that way, but Sarah, we got to remember who we're dealing with here when it comes to like a jack of all trades. We now know that Nick had a career in baseball. If he wanted to continue it, who knows what would have happened, right? He decided to pull up to Georgia and say, "Hey, sup," and then ended up walking onto the team, back-to-back national champions now. Yeah. He was a linebacker, a fullback. He golfs now. I mean, Justin's probably, I don't know if he can hold a candle to your versatility.
Justin is way better at singing than me. And he can kick the ball way better than me. But as far as everything else, I will say I think I'm better. I'm biased because I am me. So, yeah. But we'll leave it up for debate.
Real quick before we let you go, being that you played at Georgia, Ravens obviously brought in Roquan, traded midseason, and then brought in Todd Monken. We've seen what Roquan does, the difference he's make. What are the Ravens getting in Todd Monken, do you feel like?
I I don't know a whole. I didn't play for Coach Monken at Georgia, so I don't know him too well. But what he was able to accomplish at Georgia, granted they have a lot of really talented players there, but taking a guy like Stetson Bennett, who I was on the scout team with in 2017, and I know Stet really well, and he's a phenomenal quarterback. And for Coach Monken to be able to go in there and essentially go 2 for 2 with a team who hadn't won a national championship in 40 plus years and win back to back, and pretty. I mean, the one against Alabama was a really, really good game. But this past year, what they were able to put up, even with their third and fourth string guys, was pretty remarkable. And I think Coach Monken's going to bring a lot of versatility to our offense and be able to utilize some of the best playmakers in the NFL that we have on our team here, and really kind of showcase Lamar and showcase his talents and hopefully lead us to the Super Bowl is the ultimate goal. So I think we're all really excited here. It's going to be a very fun year. We have a really, really good offense and an extremely good defense. So I'm just hoping we kick a lot of extra points this year.
Heck yeah. Well, we know that you're headed down to Nashville here shortly for some long snapping work, and we're just a few weeks out from training camp. So, needless to say, really appreciate your time carving out some for us, and hope to have you on again, Nick.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much, Bobby.
Yeah, appreciate it, Nick.
All right, Nick Moore.
Yeah, thank you,
Ravens
Sarah.
long snapper. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the 2023 season, brother, in the last few weeks of your off season.
All right, guys. Y'all take care.